Have you ever wondered what truly captures a man's attention when he first meets a woman? Is it her looks, the way she dresses, or something far deeper? Something that most people overlook. Most of us have been conditioned to believe that attraction is all about physical appearance. Magazines, social media, and movies constantly push this idea that beauty is the ultimate factor. But what if I told you that this is one of the biggest lies you've ever been told? What if what truly matters is something invisible, yet powerful enough to shift the way people perceive you instantly? Stay with me until the end of this video, because what you're about to learn will completely change the way you see yourself and the way others see you too. And once you understand this, you'll never feel the need to chase validation again. Instead, you'll naturally attract the right energy into your life, the illusion of attraction. From a young age, society teaches women that their worth is tied to their looks. Commercials tell you to buy the perfect skincare, wear the right outfit, and fix every flaw so you can be noticed. But let me ask you this, how many times have you seen someone who looks perfect on the outside yet feels completely unapproachable? Beauty might catch the eye for a moment, but it's not what makes someone unforgettable. Have you ever met a woman who at first glance wasn't traditionally perfect, but somehow had this unexplainable presence? A presence so strong that people couldn't help but notice her? That's because attraction isn't about what you see, it's about what you feel. A man might glance at physical beauty, but what holds his attention is something deeper. A woman's presence, her energy, her confidence. These are the things that create a lasting impact. The real secret? You don't have to be the most beautiful woman in the room to be the most magnetic one. Why men notice something you can't see? Let's talk psychology. The human brain processes thousands of signals within seconds of meeting someone. The way you walk into a room, the way you hold yourself, even the way you look at people. It all sends silent messages. And men, whether they realize it or not, pick up on this energy instantly. Confidence is the first thing men truly notice. Not the type that comes from arrogance or trying to impress, but the quiet, unshakable confidence of a woman who knows who she is. She doesn't need to seek approval. She doesn't dim her light to fit in. She radiates certainty in herself, and that is far more powerful than a perfect face. The moment you stop seeking validation is the moment you become truly attractive. When you walk into a room without the need to prove anything, you immediately stand out. That's because true confidence isn't about being the loudest, the most perfectly dressed, or the most conventionally beautiful. It's about knowing your worth without needing permission to own it. The energy you carry defines you. Think about this. Have you ever been around someone who just makes you feel at ease? They don't have to say much, but their presence is so powerful that you naturally feel drawn to them. That's because people don't remember what you wear, what car you drive, or even how flawless your makeup is. They remember how you made them feel. Your energy speaks before you do. If you are comfortable in your own skin, it shows in every movement, every word, every interaction. And here's where most people get it wrong. They think they have to act a certain way, say the perfect thing, or fit into a mold. But the truth is, nothing is more attractive than authenticity. When you embrace yourself fully, without apology, you give others permission to do the same. That's rare. That's what makes you unforgettable, and that's exactly what men notice first, even before they realize it themselves. The reward of owning who you are. The biggest mistake people make is thinking they need to become something to be noticed. The truth? You don't need to change, you just need to own who you already are. When you understand this, something powerful happens. You stop chasing attention, and attention starts chasing you. Men are drawn to women who carry themselves like they are enough. Because they are enough. Not because they meet some impossible beauty standard, but because they don't rely on outside validation to feel valuable. That energy is magnetic, and it's the first thing that truly leaves an impression. So the next time you walk into a room, don't ask yourself, do I look good enough? Instead, ask yourself, do I feel powerful enough? Because confidence isn't something you put on, it's something you become. And once you become it, no one will be able to ignore you. Stay with me, because in the next section we're diving even deeper. You'll learn why men are naturally wired to notice confidence over appearance, and how you can embody this effortlessly. It's time to shift the way you see yourself, because when you do, the world will follow. What if I told you that people make a judgment about you in the first few seconds of meeting you? Before you even say a word, before they get to know your personality, something deeper is already at play. Psychologists call it thin slicing. The brain's ability to process and form opinions about someone almost instantly. It's a survival mechanism. The mind scans for signals, picking up on posture, facial expressions, energy, and presence. And here's the truth. Before any man notices the details of your appearance, his subconscious mind has already formed an impression of who you are. So the question is, what message are you sending before you even speak? More than looks, it's presence. Most people think first impressions are about looks. They assume if they fix their hair, wear the right outfit, and stand in the right lighting, they'll be noticed. But true presence isn't about external perfection. It's about internal energy. Have you ever walked into a room and felt someone's presence before even looking at them? Maybe they had a calm, grounded energy that made you want to be near them. Or maybe they carried themselves with such confidence that they seemed to take up more space than anyone else. That's presence. And presence is what men notice before anything else. It's not about being the loudest person in the room. It's about the quiet strength in your posture, the way you hold your head high, the way you move with certainty. It's about how you occupy space, not apologetically, but with purpose. The silent messages you send. The mind picks up on tiny, unspoken cues that reveal how you feel about yourself. Slouching, avoiding eye contact, fidgeting. These are signals of insecurity. On the other hand, standing tall, making eye contact, and moving with calm confidence send a completely different message. And here's something most people don't realize. Before a man decides if he's interested in you, his subconscious has already asked one important question. Does she seem sure of herself? Because confidence is a sign of inner strength. It signals that you don't seek permission to exist, that you don't need external validation to feel worthy. And that is something people can feel before they even realize it. Why men respect women who own their space. Men are naturally drawn to women who own their space because it's a rare quality. Society conditions women to shrink themselves, to be accommodating, to second guess their worth. But when a woman enters a room with quiet confidence, it's impossible not to notice her. It's the way she doesn't hesitate before speaking, the way she doesn't adjust her personality to fit what others expect, the way she remains fully herself, unapologetically. This isn't arrogance, it's self-assurance. And self-assurance is irresistible. Think about the women who command respect the moment they step into a room. They don't do it by seeking attention. They do it by existing in a way that says, I know who I am and I don't need to prove it. And here's the secret. When you believe in your own value, others naturally follow. The psychology of attraction, confidence over perfection. Most women believe they need to look perfect to be attractive, but psychology says otherwise. Studies have shown that confidence is consistently ranked as one of the most attractive traits, far above physical beauty, because confidence signals certainty. It tells people, this is who I am and I'm not afraid to be seen. Think about it. When you meet someone who is completely comfortable in their own skin, doesn't it put you at ease? Doesn't it make you want to be around them more? That's the power of presence. Men, whether they realize it or not, are drawn to women who are comfortable with themselves. They notice the woman who isn't looking for approval, the woman who walks into a room and doesn't hesitate before taking her place. That's the kind of energy that lingers long after you've left. How to cultivate unshakable presence. So how do you develop this presence? It starts with the way you carry yourself, literally. Straighten your posture, walk like you belong wherever you are. No shrinking, no hesitation. Make eye contact, it signals certainty. When you look someone in the eye, you silently communicate confidence. Move with purpose, don't fidget, don't rush. Move with calm assurance, as if every step you take is intentional. Speak with clarity, no whispering, no seeking approval in your tone. Speak like your words matter. Because they do. These small changes might seem simple, but they shift the way people perceive you. More importantly, they shift the way you perceive yourself. the truth about first impressions. Here's the reality. Before a man notices your features, your style, or anything external, he has already felt your presence. He has already picked up on your confidence, your energy, and the way you carry yourself. And in that moment, he's already made a decision. Is she someone I want to know more about? Your power isn't in trying to impress. It's in knowing you don't have to. The moment you stop seeking validation and start owning your space, you become unforgettable. Not because of how you look, but because of who you are. Because presence isn't about being seen. It's about being felt. Have you ever met someone who didn't need to say a word, yet their presence alone commanded attention? It wasn't their beauty, it wasn't their outfit, it was something deeper. It was their energy, their silent confidence. Most people assume that attraction is about what's visible, but the truth is, the most powerful signals we send are unspoken. The way you move, the way you hold yourself, the way you exist in a space, all of these things communicate who you are before you even say a word. And here's what most people don't realize. Confidence isn't loud. It doesn't beg for attention. It doesn't chase. True confidence is quiet, steady, and unshakable. And that is what truly stands out. Why energy speaks louder than words, science proves it. People respond to the energy you bring into a room. Studies in human psychology show that emotions are contagious. Confidence creates an invisible ripple effect. When you exude certainty, others subconsciously pick up on it. They feel it before they understand it. This is why some people light up a space just by being in it. It's not about looks, it's about presence. It's about the way they make others feel. But here's the catch. If you don't believe in yourself, others won't either. If you doubt yourself, that energy leaks into the space around you. It shows in the way you hesitate before speaking, in the way your shoulders slump, in the way your voice lacks conviction, and people notice. Because confidence isn't just about how you feel, it's about what you project. The subtle cues that make you magnetic attraction isn't about trying harder, it's about being different. And the people who stand out are those who carry themselves with certainty. It's the way they walk, not rushed, not timid, but with a natural rhythm that shows they trust themselves. It's the way they take up space, not shrinking, not apologizing, but existing with quiet authority. It's the way they pause before they speak, as if they know their words carry weight. These are the things people remember. Not the color of your dress, not the way you styled your hair, but the way your presence made them feel. The psychology of effortless confidence. Confidence isn't arrogance. It's not about proving you're better than anyone else. It's about knowing you don't have to. The strongest people in any room don't need to fight for attention. They don't seek approval. They don't try to impress. They simply are. And that's what makes them unforgettable. Think about it. When someone speaks with certainty, when they seem unbothered by the need for validation, doesn't it make you take notice? Doesn't it make you respect them even before you know them? That's the power of effortless confidence. It's not forced. It's not performed. It's a deep-rooted belief that says, I am enough as I am. And when you carry that energy, the world responds. Why men are drawn to women who own themselves. Men notice the way a woman carries herself before anything else. Not because they're consciously analyzing it, but because their instincts pick up on it. A woman who owns herself, who doesn't second guess her worth, who doesn't wait for permission to be seen, has a presence that is undeniable. And it's rare, because most people walk through life seeking approval. They change themselves to fit expectations. They adjust their personality to avoid rejection. But when a woman refuses to do that, when she stands firm in who she is, it changes the dynamic. She doesn't chase attention, yet she gets it. She doesn't beg for validation, yet people respect her. She doesn't need to be noticed, yet she is unforgettable. How to cultivate this magnetic energy? This level of confidence doesn't come from pretending. It comes from believing. It's not about changing who you are. It's about removing the self-doubt that holds you back. Here's how you build it. Stop seeking approval. When you stop looking for validation, you start owning yourself. Carry yourself with intention. Every movement, every word should come from a place of certainty. Embrace silence. Confidence isn't about talking more, it's about knowing you don't have to fill the silence. Detach from outcomes. The moment you stop fearing rejection, you become unstoppable. These small shifts change everything. Because confidence isn't something you perform, it's something you become. The secret to being unforgettable in the end, it's never about looks, it's never about external perfection. It's about the way you make people feel. When you carry yourself with certainty, when you trust your own presence, people don't just see you, they experience you. And that is what they never forget. Have you ever wondered why some people leave a lasting impression even after a brief encounter? It's not about perfection. It's not about meeting someone's expectations. It's about authenticity. There's something undeniably powerful about a woman who is fully herself, who doesn't bend, who doesn't shrink, who doesn't try to fit into a mold. That energy is magnetic, it's rare, and it's unforgettable. Most people don't understand this. They think attraction is about looking a certain way, following trends, or acting a certain part. But the truth is, nothing is more compelling than someone who is unapologetically real. Why pretending to be someone else never works, psychology reveals a simple truth. Humans have an instinct for authenticity. People can sense when someone is forcing an image, when they're trying too hard, when they're not being true to themselves. And that's where most people get it wrong. They try to be what others want, thinking that will make them more likable, more attractive, more accepted. But in reality, the opposite happens. Because when you are not being yourself, you send out a signal of insecurity. And people notice. Confidence isn't about being loud. It's not about being perfect. It's about knowing who you are and standing firm in it. The quiet strength of a woman who knows herself. There's something different about a woman who embraces herself fully. She doesn't move like she's waiting for approval. She doesn't speak like she needs validation. She exists with a quiet certainty that draws people in. She isn't afraid of her own voice. She isn't afraid of taking up space. She isn't afraid of being misunderstood because she knows her worth isn't defined by outside opinions. That's a rare kind of strength. And men notice it instantly, not because they're analyzing every move, but because they feel it. They sense that she doesn't need their validation. She's not playing a role, she's not performing for approval, she simply is. The feminine energy that commands respect. Femininity isn't about weakness, it's not about submission, it's not about seeking attention. True femininity is power. Power that doesn't need to force itself to be seen. It's in the way a woman carries herself. It's in the way she speaks with intention. It's in the way she owns her presence without demanding recognition. And that's what makes her unforgettable. Most people think power is about dominance. But real power, the kind that lasts, the kind that draws people in effortlessly, is about presence. It's about self-respect. It's about knowing you don't have to prove yourself to anyone. That energy is intoxicating. It's the kind of energy that makes people listen when you speak. It's the kind of energy that makes people respect you without you having to ask for it. Why men respect women who set the standard? The world teaches women to seek approval, to be likable, to fit into expectations. But the truth is, the most respected women are the ones who refuse to be anything other than themselves. They set the standard. They decide how they will be treated. They don't lower their value for the sake of being accepted. And that changes everything. Because the moment you stop trying to be chosen, you become the one who chooses. The moment you stop seeking validation, you gain a power most people will never understand. How to tap into this level of self-assurance. Being this kind of woman isn't about changing who you are. It's about removing everything that's holding you back. It's about letting go of the fear of rejection. It's about understanding that you are already enough. Here's how you do it. Stop apologizing for who you are. You don't have to shrink to make others comfortable. Own your presence. Trust your intuition. The strongest people trust themselves. They don't need outside approval to know what's right for them. Set boundaries. The moment you start setting standards for how you should be treated, people will respect you more. Speak with conviction. People respect those who speak with certainty, not hesitation. These small shifts will change your entire presence. Because when you stop trying to be someone you're not, you become someone unforgettable. The secret to leaving a lasting impression: people won't remember what you wore. They won't remember what you said, but they will remember how you carried yourself, the confidence, the presence, the energy. That's what stays with them long after you're gone. What happens when a woman truly respects herself? Everything changes. The way she walks, the way she speaks, the way she interacts with the world. It all shifts. Because self-respect isn't just a mindset. It's an energy, and that energy is impossible to ignore. Most people go through life adjusting themselves to fit in. They lower their standards to avoid conflict. They stay silent when they should speak up. They tolerate things that don't align with their worth. And over time, they lose themselves. But a woman who refuses to settle, who knows her own value, creates a presence that demands respect without saying a word, without begging for recognition. She simply is the standard. Why self-respect is the foundation of true confidence. Confidence isn't just about how you look or how you speak. It's deeper than that. It's about the way you treat yourself. It's about the boundaries you set. It's about what you allow and what you refuse to accept. And people notice, because the way you treat yourself teaches others how to treat you. If you accept half-hearted effort, you will always receive it. If you tolerate disrespect, it will continue. If you allow yourself to be an option, you will never be a priority. But when you make it clear through your actions, not just your words, that you respect yourself, the world responds differently. People step up. They approach you differently. They see you through a new lens. Because self-respect isn't something you demand, it's something you embody. The silent signals of a woman who respects herself: men notice something different about a woman who carries herself with self-respect. It's not about arrogance. It's not about attitude. It's about presence. It's in the way she walks into a room, not seeking attention, but completely comfortable in her own skin. It's in the way she speaks, without hesitation, without doubt, without needing approval. It's in the way she reacts, not over-explaining, not chasing, not justifying her standards. That level of certainty is rare. Most people doubt themselves. Most people question their own worth. But a woman who respects herself doesn't need to prove anything. She knows who she is. And that quiet strength is impossible to ignore. Why people gravitate towards self-respect? Humans are wired to respect those who respect themselves. It's a psychological truth. Think about it. When you meet someone who is completely sure of themselves, who doesn't tolerate nonsense, who carries themselves with a quiet but undeniable certainty, don't you find yourself drawn to them? It's not about attraction in the traditional sense. It's about presence. Self-respect creates a natural aura of authority. It makes people listen when you speak. It makes them reconsider before they test your boundaries. It makes them value you without you having to ask. Because when you respect yourself, you subconsciously give others permission to do the same. Why? Men are drawn to women with strong boundaries. A woman who respects herself doesn't chase. She doesn't beg for attention. She doesn't stay where she isn't valued. She doesn't need to. Because she knows that the right people will recognize her worth. She knows that she is not for everyone, and she doesn't try to be, and that is what makes her unforgettable. Men instinctively notice this. They can tell when a woman won't settle for less than she deserves, and that changes everything. She isn't desperate for validation. She isn't afraid to walk away. She knows that her value doesn't decrease just because someone else fails to see it, and that kind of self-assurance is rare. How to cultivate self-respect that radiates power. Self-respect isn't about proving anything to anyone. It's about proving it to yourself. It's about deciding once and for all that you are enough, that you are worthy, that you don't need to earn someone else's approval to validate your existence. Here's how you develop it. Know your worth. You don't have to settle for less than you deserve, ever. Set boundaries and enforce them. If something doesn't align with your values, walk away. Stop over-explaining yourself. A confident person doesn't justify their standards, they simply live by them. Trust your intuition. If something doesn't feel right, it isn't. Respect yourself enough to listen to that voice. These are not just actions, they are statements. They tell the world exactly who you are. The secret to being a woman who commands respect. People won't always say it, but they will feel it. They will sense your certainty. They will notice your unshakable standards. They will recognize that you are different. And that is what makes you unforgettable. Why do some people command attention without trying? It's not their looks, it's not their words, it's their energy. And behind that energy is something deeper, emotional intelligence. Most people react to life. They let their emotions control them. They get defensive, overthink, or let fear dictate their actions. But a woman who masters her emotions stands out. She doesn't just react, she responds. She doesn't allow outside circumstances to shake her inner peace, and that level of control is powerful. The difference between reaction and response. There's a reason why emotional intelligence is one of the most attractive traits a person can have. It shows maturity, strength, and self-awareness. When faced with challenges, most people react instantly. They let anger take over. They speak without thinking. They let fear push them into desperate decisions. But a woman with emotional intelligence pauses. She takes a breath. She observes before she responds. She doesn't let someone else's behavior dictate her own. And that makes all the difference, because in a world full of emotional chaos, self-control is rare. The subtle signals of emotional intelligence, it's in the way she stays calm in stressful situations. It's in the way she listens more than she speaks. It's in the way she doesn't let small things get under her skin. This doesn't mean she's passive. It means she understands that not every battle is worth fighting. It means she doesn't waste energy on things that don't serve her. And people notice. Because emotional intelligence isn't just about handling your own emotions. It's about understanding the emotions of others. It's about reading between the lines. It's about recognizing when to speak and when silence is more powerful. Why emotional intelligence is irresistible. People are drawn to those who make them feel understood. A woman with emotional intelligence doesn't just hear words. She listens to meaning. She doesn't just react, she observes. And that makes others feel safe in her presence. Because most people go through life feeling misunderstood, feeling unheard, feeling like no one really sees them. But when they meet someone who does, someone who truly listens, someone who doesn't judge, someone who responds with wisdom instead of impulse, they are drawn to them like a magnet. The power of emotional control in relationships. A woman who is emotionally intelligent doesn't play games. She doesn't use manipulation. She doesn't react with jealousy, insecurity, or desperation. She understands that emotions are powerful, but they don't have to control her. She communicates instead of assuming. She remains calm instead of overreacting. She knows when to walk away instead of forcing something that isn't right. And that level of self-mastery changes everything. Because most people let emotions destroy relationships. They act out of fear instead of wisdom. They try to control others instead of controlling themselves. But a woman who understands her emotions and manages them with grace creates a different kind of connection, one built on respect, trust, and understanding. How to develop emotional intelligence. It's not something you're born with. It's something you build. It's a skill, a discipline, a choice. Pause before reacting. Not everything deserves an immediate response. Sometimes silence is more powerful than words. Listen to understand, not to reply. Most people listen just to respond, but truly listening means understanding what isn't being said. Recognize your triggers. The things that make you emotional are lessons in disguise. Observe them, learn from them, master them, detach from negativity. You don't have to engage in every argument. Protect your peace. Stay centered. No one should have the power to shake your self-worth. Control your emotions and you control your life. These small changes create a massive difference. They separate the emotionally reactive from the emotionally intelligent. The quiet strength of a woman who knows herself. There's something powerful about a woman who remains calm in chaos, who doesn't let her emotions dictate her actions, who chooses self-awareness over self-destruction. She stands out, not because she's the loudest in the room, but because her energy speaks louder than words. And that is something no one can ignore. Confidence. It's not something you wear. It's not something you fake. It's something you become. People can sense it before you even say a word. It's in the way you stand, the way you walk, the way you carry yourself. It's not about arrogance. It's not about proving anything to anyone. It's about knowing who you are and never needing validation from the outside world. That is what makes people stop and take notice. The silent language of confidence. Confidence isn't loud, it doesn't seek attention, it doesn't beg to be noticed. It's the woman who walks into a room and doesn't scan for approval. It's the woman who doesn't shrink herself to make others comfortable. It's the woman who doesn't apologize for being who she is. Most people think confidence is about perfection, about looking a certain way, about having all the right words. But true confidence is quiet, it's calm, it's secure. It's in the way she stands tall, even when no one is watching. It's in the way she speaks with conviction, even if her voice shakes. It's in the way she refuses to settle for love, for life, for anything less than what she deserves. Why confidence is more attractive than beauty. Beauty fades, trends change. What's considered perfect today will be forgotten tomorrow. But confidence? Confidence is timeless. Because confidence isn't about physical appearance. It's about how you make others feel. It's about the energy you bring into a space. People don't remember perfect features. They remember how you carried yourself. They remember the way you made them feel in your presence. A woman who is confident isn't afraid to take up space. She doesn't apologize for existing. She doesn't seek permission to be herself. And that kind of energy is impossible to ignore. The secret behind effortless attraction. There's a reason why confident people attract attention without even trying. It's because they don't chase validation. They don't try to impress. They don't change themselves to fit in. Instead, they own who they are. They don't wait for someone to tell them they're worthy. They know they are. They don't adjust their personality to be liked. They accept that not everyone will understand them, and they're okay with that. They don't fear rejection because they aren't seeking approval in the first place. And that level of self-acceptance makes people stop and look. Confidence is built, not given. No one is born with unshakable confidence. It's built through action, through discipline, through small choices made every single day. Stop apologizing for being yourself. You don't need permission to exist. Own your space. Stand tall. Always. Posture speaks louder than words. Confidence begins with how you carry yourself. Speak with conviction. Say what you mean what you say. Let your words have weight. Embrace rejection. Not everyone will like you, and that's okay. Confidence is knowing you don't need to be liked by everyone. Choose growth over comfort. Confidence isn't about always feeling fearless. It's about doing what's right, even when fear is present. Every time you choose yourself, you build confidence. Every time you refuse to shrink, you build confidence. Every time you step outside your comfort zone, you build confidence. The power of a woman who knows her worth. A confident woman doesn't settle for less. She doesn't tolerate disrespect. She doesn't wait to be chosen. She chooses herself. And when she walks into a room, people feel it. Because confidence isn't something you see, it's something you sense. It's something you can't fake. It's something that radiates from the inside out. And once you have it, you become unstoppable. There is a quiet power in femininity, a strength that doesn't need to shout to be heard, a presence that doesn't need to dominate to be felt. Many mistake femininity for weakness, but nothing could be further from the truth. True femininity is unshakable. It's the ability to be soft without being fragile, to be kind without being naive, to be graceful without being submissive. Men notice this instantly. Because a woman who embraces her femininity carries herself with a rare kind of confidence, one that doesn't need to compete with masculine energy. but instead complements it. Grace is not weakness, it's power. The world often tells women to be louder, harder, tougher, to act like men to be taken seriously. But true strength isn't about becoming something you're not. It's about owning who you are. Grace is not weakness, it's control. It's knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. It's the ability to stay composed when others lose their temper. It's choosing to respond instead of react. A woman who embodies grace isn't easily shaken. She doesn't let the chaos of the world disrupt her peace. She carries herself with a quiet confidence that commands respect without ever demanding it. And men notice this immediately. Because in a world full of noise, a woman with true grace stands out effortlessly. Femininity is not about appearance. It's about energy. Many believe femininity is about how a woman dresses, the way she does her hair, or the softness of her voice. But real femininity is not about external beauty. It's about the energy she carries. It's the warmth in her presence, the kindness in her words, the depth in her gaze. It's the way she listens, not just to reply, but to understand. It's the way she moves, not rushed, but with intention. It's the way she makes others feel safe, appreciated, seen. This is the kind of energy that men can't ignore, because it's rare, because it's real. The balance of strength and softness. A truly feminine woman is not just soft. She is also strong. She has standards. She has boundaries. She has a backbone. She doesn't tolerate disrespect. She doesn't lower her value to make others comfortable. She doesn't chase, beg, or plead for attention. Her presence is a privilege. She knows that her kindness is a choice, not an obligation, that her warmth is a gift, not a weakness, that her heart is precious and not everyone deserves access to it. And that kind of self-respect, that kind of self-awareness, that's what makes her magnetic. The woman who moves differently, she doesn't argue to prove her worth. She doesn't compete for attention. She doesn't need validation to feel whole. She moves differently. Because she knows that real power is not in controlling others, it's in mastering herself. She walks away from what doesn't serve her. She focuses on her growth, not on proving her value. She radiates confidence, not because she demands attention, but because she simply is herself. And when a woman moves like that, she becomes unforgettable. The essence of true feminine energy. A woman who embraces her femininity doesn't seek to overpower men. She knows she doesn't have to. She understands that true feminine energy doesn't demand, it inspires. It's not about control, it's about influence. It's about creating an energy so strong that people naturally want to be around it. A truly feminine woman doesn't just attract attention, she attracts respect. She doesn't need to chase love. She embodies it. She doesn't need to prove her worth. She knows it. She doesn't need to be anything other than herself, because that is enough. And once she realizes this, she becomes unstoppable. Not all women turn heads when they walk into a room. Not all women carry a presence that makes people stop, notice, and remember. But some do. And it's not always the ones who are the loudest. It's not always the ones dressed in the most extravagant way. It's not always the ones trying the hardest to be seen. There is something different about a woman who knows her presence speaks before she even says a word. The silent confidence that speaks volumes. Confidence doesn't always have to be loud. In fact, the most powerful form of confidence is silent. It's the kind of confidence that doesn't need external validation. It doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. It doesn't need attention to feel worthy, because it's rooted in something deeper. It's built on self-respect. A woman who carries this kind of confidence doesn't walk into a room wondering if she is enough. She knows she is. And that knowing radiates from within her. Her posture, her poise, her presence. It all communicates that she is comfortable in her own skin. She doesn't try to be anyone else. She is unapologetically herself. And that energy, that kind of presence, it's impossible to ignore. The power of eye contact and expression. Some people speak without ever opening their mouths. It's in their eyes. It's in their facial expressions. It's in the way they carry themselves. A woman who truly sees the world around her makes people feel seen in return. She doesn't give empty stares or distracted glances. When she looks at someone, she looks with intention. She listens with her whole presence, not just with her ears, but with her attention, her energy, her focus. Men notice this immediately, because in a world full of distractions, a woman who is fully present stands out effortlessly. She doesn't check her phone every 5 seconds. She doesn't fidget nervously. She doesn't seek approval in the eyes of others. She just is. And that kind of presence is magnetic. The mystery of a woman who doesn't reveal everything. There's a certain kind of woman who intrigues without trying. She doesn't overshare. She doesn't feel the need to explain herself. She doesn't reveal everything all at once. And that creates mystery. Not because she's playing games, but because she values her own depth. She knows that not everyone deserves immediate access to her thoughts, her emotions, her world. She reveals herself slowly, not because she is hiding, but because she understands the power of pacing. Men are naturally drawn to this kind of energy because it keeps them engaged, it keeps them curious, it keeps them invested. It's not about manipulation, it's about self-respect. A woman who knows her worth doesn't rush to prove it. She lets people discover it on their own, piece by piece, and that makes her unforgettable. The aura of a woman who chooses herself first. A woman who commands attention without demanding it is the kind of woman who puts herself first. She takes care of her mind, she nurtures her body, she protects her peace. She doesn't chase love, she becomes love. She doesn't beg for respect, she embodies it. She doesn't try to fit in, she stands out effortlessly. Because she knows that the most attractive thing about a woman is not just the way she looks, it's the way she makes people feel. And when a woman truly understands this, she becomes unforgettable. Some people walk into a room and bring light with them. Others enter and the energy shifts in a way you can't quite explain. It's not about what they say. It's not about how they look. It's something deeper. It's their energy. And energy never lies. Men notice this instantly, not with their eyes, but with their instincts. They can feel it before they even process it. Because energy speaks louder than words, louder than appearance, louder than anything superficial. A woman who carries the right energy doesn't just exist in a space, she influences it, the calmness that signals strength. There is something magnetic about a woman who is at peace with herself. She doesn't rush, she doesn't fidget, she doesn't let anxiety dictate her movements. She is present, grounded, unshaken. When she speaks with intention. When she listens fully. When she moves with purpose. And that energy, that sense of calm, it is rare, it is powerful. Because in a world where people are constantly distracted, constantly overstimulated, constantly looking for validation, calmness is a luxury. Men notice when a woman carries herself this way. It shows she has control over her emotions. It shows she doesn't react impulsively. It shows she values her own inner peace more than anything external. And that kind of energy, that level of self-mastery, it's unforgettable. The subtle power of kindness and grace. Kindness is not weakness. A strong woman knows this. She is not cold. She is not guarded. She is not hard to approach. Instead, she carries grace. Her presence makes people feel comfortable, safe, seen. She treats people with dignity, not because she has to, but because that's who she is. She smiles, not to impress, but because she is genuinely at peace. She speaks not to seek attention, but to add value to a conversation. She interacts not out of obligation, but out of genuine care. And that is rare, because in a world that often rewards arrogance, ego, and indifference, true kindness is something people remember. Men don't just notice this kind of woman, they respect her. Not because she demands it, not because she forces it, but because she embodies it. The feminine energy that creates balance. There is a natural balance between masculine and feminine energy. And a woman who understands this never feels the need to compete with men, because she knows her power lies in harmony, not opposition. She doesn't try to overpower. She doesn't try to dominate. She doesn't try to prove herself. She simply is, soft yet strong, open yet self-respecting, confident yet humble. And that combination, that balance, it's irresistible, because masculine energy is naturally drawn to feminine energy, not in a superficial way, but in an instinctive way. It's not about submission, it's not about control, it's about synergy. A woman who embraces her feminine energy doesn't see vulnerability as a weakness, she sees it as a superpower. She allows herself to feel without letting emotions control her. She embraces her softness without letting anyone take advantage of it. She expresses love and care without losing herself in the process. And that is what makes her unforgettable. The presence that feels like home attraction fades, looks change, superficial charm wears off. But energy lasts. Men don't just notice a beautiful woman. They remember a woman who made them feel something. Not temporary excitement, not fleeting desire, but peace, stability, comfort. Because in the end, it's not just about how a woman looks, it's about how she makes a man feel in her presence. Does she bring chaos or does she bring calm? Does she drain energy or does she recharge it? Does she add to life or does she take away from it? A woman who truly understands this never chases attention. She never begs for love, because she is love. She is peace. She is the kind of presence that people never forget. Confidence is silent. Insecurity is loud. Men don't just notice how a woman looks. They notice how she carries herself, how she walks into a room without needing to announce her presence, how she doesn't seek approval with every move she makes. Confidence is not arrogance. It's not about being the loudest voice in the room or proving something to the world. It's about knowing who you are without needing validation from anyone else. A confident woman is comfortable in her own skin. She doesn't compare herself to others. She doesn't seek constant reassurance. She doesn't let the opinions of others dictate her worth. And that is powerful, because in a world where people crave attention, where self-worth is often tied to social media likes and external validation, true confidence is rare. It's not about perfection. It's not about always having the right words or never feeling doubt. It's about trusting yourself, even when no one else does. The power of owning your space. There's something magnetic about a woman who is fully present. She doesn't shrink herself. She doesn't dim her light to make others comfortable. She stands tall. She speaks clearly. She makes eye contact. Not to intimidate, but because she is engaged in the moment. She doesn't fidget nervously. She doesn't second guess her every move. She simply owns the space she's in. And men notice this instantly, because it shows she's not looking for permission to exist. She's not waiting for someone to validate her presence. She's not afraid to take up space, physically, emotionally, or mentally. That level of self-assurance is unforgettable. The confidence to say no without guilt. A confident woman doesn't seek approval by always saying yes. She doesn't fear rejection. She doesn't feel the need to please everyone. She understands the value of her time, her energy, and her peace. She doesn't agree just to keep the peace. She doesn't tolerate disrespect just to be liked. She doesn't sacrifice her boundaries to make others comfortable. When she says no, she doesn't apologize. She doesn't over-explain. She doesn't feel guilty. And that level of self-respect, that level of knowing your worth, it's impossible to ignore. Because a woman who stands firm in her boundaries signals strength. She shows she's not desperate for validation. She shows she values herself enough to walk away from anything that doesn't align with her standards. And that is rare. The presence that commands respect. Respect is not demanded. It's earned. And it starts with how you treat yourself. A confident woman doesn't beg for attention. She doesn't compete for a man's approval. She doesn't lower her standards to fit in. Instead, she sets the tone for how others treat her, by the way she treats herself. She doesn't entertain drama. She doesn't tolerate disrespect. She doesn't waste time on people who don't value her. She moves with intention. She speaks with certainty. She acts with purpose. And that energy, that level of self-assuredness, it shifts the dynamic in any interaction. Men don't just notice this kind of woman, they respect her. Because she doesn't need validation to feel worthy. She doesn't need approval to feel complete. She doesn't need anyone to choose her because she has already chosen herself. The glow that comes from self-trust, confidence, isn't just about how a woman walks or talks. It's about the energy she gives off. A woman who trusts herself radiates a different kind of presence. She doesn't hesitate. She doesn't doubt every decision. She doesn't live in constant fear of making mistakes. She trusts her intuition. She trusts her abilities. She trusts her own journey. And that is what makes her unforgettable. Because confidence isn't something you wear. It's something you become. It's something you embody. And when a woman carries herself with that level of certainty, when she owns who she is without apology, she leaves an impression that no one can ignore. Before a word is spoken, before a gesture is made, there's something that people feel. Energy. It's the unspoken presence a woman carries. It's the way she enters a room without forcing attention, yet people notice. It's the silent confidence that radiates through her posture, her gaze, her stillness. And the truth is, men are highly receptive to this. They don't just notice what a woman does, they notice how she makes them feel. A woman's energy speaks louder than any words she could say. It tells the world whether she is secure or uncertain, whether she is grounded or unsettled. It communicates her level of self-respect, her level of peace, and even her level of emotional strength. And that's why a woman who walks with certainty, who doesn't need validation, who doesn't seek approval, instantly stands apart. The calmness that commands attention. There's something incredibly powerful about a woman who is calm, not passive, not indifferent, but a woman who doesn't let the chaos around her shake her inner world. She doesn't react impulsively. She doesn't let emotions control her decision. She doesn't operate from desperation, fear, or neediness. Instead, she carries herself with a quiet confidence. She listens more than she speaks. She observes before she reacts. She doesn't feel the need to prove herself because her presence alone does that. Men notice this. Because in a world that is loud, reactive, and emotionally unstable, a woman who remains centered is rare. Her energy draws people in, not because she's chasing attention, but because she is at peace with herself. And that level of inner stability is more captivating than any physical beauty. The power of feminine strength. True strength isn't about overpowering others. It's not about being the loudest in the room. Real strength is found in restraint, in emotional discipline, in knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. A woman who understands this doesn't waste time in petty arguments. She doesn't seek revenge to prove a point. She doesn't get lost in drama that drains her energy. Instead, she walks away from what no longer serves her. She chooses her battles wisely. She holds her power without ever needing to announce it. And that's what makes her unforgettable, because men don't just notice a woman who looks good. They notice a woman who feels strong, a woman who doesn't let external situations control her internal peace, a woman who can be soft and powerful at the same time. The subtle confidence in her actions. Confidence isn't just about what a woman says, it's about what she doesn't say. It's in the way she moves through life with purpose. It's in the way she holds eye contact without hesitation. It's in the way she doesn't explain herself unnecessarily. She doesn't over-apologize. She doesn't shrink herself. She doesn't seek permission to be who she is. Instead, she trusts herself. She trusts her intuition. She trusts her boundaries. She trusts that she doesn't need to force anything because what is meant for her will flow naturally. And that kind of certainty, it's magnetic. Because men are drawn to women who know themselves. Women who don't waver in their values, who don't bend to fit a mold, who don't change who they are just to be accepted. That level of confidence isn't just attractive, it's unforgettable. The presence that makes an impact attraction isn't always about appearance. It's not just about physical beauty or fashion or how well a woman presents herself. It's about who she is when no one is watching. It's about the energy she carries in her solitude. It's about the peace she holds when there's no audience. It's about the way she treats herself when no one is looking. Because a woman's presence is a reflection of how she feels about herself. When a woman respects herself, it shows in the way she moves, in the way she interacts, in the way she exists. And that level of self-respect creates an energy that people feel without a single word being spoken. Because true confidence, true power, true presence isn't about what you show the world. It's about what you carry within. Her presence matters. Her silence, even her silence matters. Because she doesn't speak to seek validation. She speaks when she has something valuable to say. And that kind of confidence is magnetic. The unshakable energy of a woman who knows her worth. When a woman truly knows her worth, everything about her changes. Her posture shifts, her tone softens, but her words carry more power. Her energy is calm, but her presence is undeniable. She no longer needs external validation because she validates herself. She no longer chases approval because she already knows who she is. She no longer fears rejection because she understands her value doesn't decrease when someone fails to recognize it. And men feel this. They notice when a woman carries herself with dignity, when she doesn't settle for less, when she isn't afraid to walk away from what doesn't align with her standard. Because confidence isn't about arrogance, it's about certainty. And nothing is more captivating than a woman who is certain of herself. The subtle power of boundaries. Boundaries are not about pushing people away, they're about protecting yourself. A woman who respects herself doesn't allow just anyone into her space. She doesn't entertain toxic energy. She doesn't give endless chances to those who don't deserve them. She knows that setting boundaries isn't about being cold. It's about being clear. Clear about what she will accept. Clear about how she expects to be treated. Clear about the fact that her kindness is not a weakness and her patience is not permission for disrespect. And men notice this because when a woman has strong boundaries, it shows that she has self-respect. And self-respect is one of the most attractive qualities a person can have. It means she values herself enough to walk away when necessary. It means she doesn't waste energy on what drains her. It means she isn't afraid to say no because she knows her worth is not tied to someone else's approval. And that level of self-awareness is rare. The woman who owns her choices, a woman who is truly confident, doesn't just know what she doesn't want. She knows exactly what she does want. She makes decisions based on her values, her vision, her purpose. She doesn't wait for others to choose her. She chooses herself. She isn't afraid to take risks, to stand alone, to build her own life on her terms. And that kind of woman is unforgettable because she doesn't operate from fear. She doesn't operate from scarcity. She doesn't operate from the need to be liked. She operates from clarity. Clarity about who she is, clarity about what she deserves, clarity about the fact that she doesn't have to try to be chosen because the right people will recognize her value without being convinced. And that, more than anything, is what men notice first. Not just how she looks, not just what she wears, not just how she speaks, but the way she carries herself. Because a woman's presence is not just about being seen. It's about being felt. And when a woman stands in her power, the world cannot help but notice. There's something about a woman who doesn't try too hard. She doesn't chase. She doesn't seek. She doesn't demand attention. Yet somehow she gets it effortlessly. It's not about the way she looks. It's not about the way she dresses. It's about something deeper, something intangible. It's the energy she carries. A woman's energy speaks louder than her words. It reveals her mindset, her confidence, her self-worth before she even says a single thing. And the truth is, men are incredibly perceptive to this. They notice when a woman walks with certainty. They notice when she is at peace with herself. They notice when she isn't desperate for approval. Because true attraction is never about external appearance alone. It's about the way a person feels to be around, the undeniable power of feminine energy. There's a certain energy that can be imitated, can be faked, can be forced. It's not about being weak or submissive. It's about being in tune with yourself. A woman who understands her power doesn't try to prove it, she just embodies it. She is secure in her emotions. She is comfortable in her own skin. She is strong without needing to dominate, soft without being fragile. And that balance of grace and strength, of presence and mystery, is what truly captures attention. Because it's not about being the loudest in the room. It's not about trying to impress. It's about being so in alignment with yourself that people can't help but notice. The art of not chasing and still attracting. There is a simple truth that many people overlook. The more you chase, the more you push things away. This applies to love, to respect, to success, everything. A woman who is desperate for attention will never truly hold it, because neediness repels. It signals lack. It signals insecurity. It signals that something is missing within. But a woman who is fulfilled within herself never has to chase. She doesn't need someone else to complete her, because she is already whole. She doesn't try to prove her worth because she already knows it. She doesn't beg for love because she understands that real love is freely given, not demanded. And that, more than anything, is what makes her stand out. Because a woman who isn't afraid to walk away is the one who is truly valued. The confidence that comes from self-respect, men can tell when a woman respects herself. It's not just in the way she talks, but in the way she moves through life. A woman who has self-respect doesn't settle for half-hearted effort. She doesn't entertain toxic behavior. She doesn't lower her standards just to be liked. She carries herself differently because she sees herself differently. She doesn't engage in meaningless drama. She doesn't need to prove herself to anyone. She doesn't base her happiness on external validation. And that kind of confidence is rare. It's rare because so many people seek their worth outside of themselves. They look for it in relationships, in social media, in the opinions of others. But a woman who has built her confidence from within doesn't waver. She isn't easily influenced. She isn't easily manipulated. She isn't easily impressed because she knows her value isn't determined by someone else's approval. And when a woman walks through life with that kind of energy, she doesn't just attract attention, she commands respect, the mystery that holds a man's attention. In a world where everyone overshares, where people constantly seek validation, there is something incredibly attractive about mystery. Not secrecy, not games, just the ability to keep something for yourself. A woman who doesn't reveal everything at once creates intrigue. A woman who knows when to speak and when to listen creates depth. A woman who isn't easily available creates value. And that's because true connection isn't built on constant access. It's built on meaningful presence. When a woman respects her own time, her own space, her own energy, she teaches others to do the same. She doesn't give all of herself away too quickly. She doesn't feel the need to explain everything. She allows things to unfold naturally, with patience, with grace. And that's what keeps people interested. Because the most captivating people are those who don't rush the process. They don't force relationships. They don't demand attention. They let their presence speak for itself. And when a woman understands that, she doesn't just catch someone's eye, she stays in their mind long after she's gone. A man may notice beauty first, but it's the depth of a woman that keeps his attention. It's not just about how she looks when she walks into a room, it's about the energy she leaves behind long after she's gone. Some women enter a man's life and become unforgettable, not because they tried to impress him, not because they begged for his attention, but because they carried themselves in a way that made him respect them. Respect is the foundation of attraction that lasts, and a woman who respects herself first will always be treated differently. The power of a woman who doesn't settle. A woman who doesn't settle for less commands a different level of treatment. She isn't just noticed, she is valued. She doesn't tolerate half-hearted effort. She doesn't entertain inconsistency. She doesn't waste time on someone who doesn't meet her standards. And that sets her apart. Because the truth is, people treat you based on what you allow. If you accept disrespect, you'll receive it. If you lower your standards, people will take advantage. But when a woman holds herself to a higher level, she attracts a different kind of energy. She is seen as someone who deserves effort. She is approached with a different level of seriousness. She is respected because she respects herself first. A man may be drawn to a woman's looks, but he stays for something much deeper, her sense of self. There is nothing more attractive than a woman who knows who she is. She isn't waiting for validation. She isn't molding herself to fit someone else's expectations. She isn't seeking approval because she approves of herself. And that is rare, because the world teaches women to be chosen, to wait, to seek love like it's the ultimate prize. But the most magnetic women don't wait to be chosen. They choose themselves first. They don't beg for attention. They don't prove their worth. They don't tolerate less than they deserve. And when a woman moves like that, she doesn't just attract a man's attention. She earns his respect. The mindset that makes a woman stand out. Confidence isn't about arrogance. It's not about being better than others. It's about knowing your value without needing anyone else to confirm it. A woman with true confidence is different. She carries herself with quiet assurance. She doesn't need to announce her worth, it's felt. She walks into a room with grace, knowing she belongs. And men notice, because confidence is rare. Because most people are seeking validation. Because a woman who already knows her worth doesn't have to ask for respect. She commands it effortlessly. This is why the most attractive women are those who own who they are. They don't shrink themselves. They don't dim their light. They don't apologize for being strong, ambitious, or independent. They embrace their power. They stand in their truth. They live in alignment with their values. And that is what makes them truly unforgettable. The woman who leaves a lasting impression. Looks will always fade. External beauty will always change. But the impact a woman leaves on a man's life, that is what truly lasts. She is remembered for the way she carried herself, for the way she respected her time, her heart, her energy, for the way she inspired him to be better. Because a truly powerful woman doesn't just demand respect, she embodies it. She isn't afraid to walk away from what doesn't serve her. She isn't afraid to be alone rather than settle for less. She isn't afraid to demand more. Not from a place of entitlement, but from a place of self-worth. And that is the difference. A woman who knows her worth will always be treated differently. Not because she forces people to value her, not because she plays games, but because she values herself first. And that, more than anything, is what makes her unforgettable.